And so let's get started. All right, well, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. So if you are just calling in, we are doing this with a slideshow. However, I will try to explain what is also on the slides. So call agenda today. Here's a look at what we're going to be answering. I am going to talk a little bit about Erg Ed and why this is a program that you might want to bring to your community and school district, as well as a little bit about why indoor rowing, and just go into some more details about the logistics of Erg Ed and how it does work, and then go into some grant-specific details about the application and requirements and expectations. And then, of course, finishing off with our questions at the end. All right, so let's get started. Erg Ed. So Erg Ed is a physical education unit that is designed to be taught in public school physical education classes. It has a curriculum that is all aligned with the 5 main national physical education standards, and it is a unit same as you would have another unit in an academic setting. It has classroom resources, lesson plans, as well we provide teacher training for the PE teachers and equipment, indoor rowing machines, also known as ergs. And we bring this program to school districts all across the country. Through Erg Ed, we really are proud to bring the experience of rowing to the classroom. So we go to where the students are as opposed to having to bring students to us. Main objectives. So we have 3 main objectives of the Erg Ed program. We want to introduce students to a fun lifetime sport. So rowing really is a sport that you can participate in throughout your life. You can start it when you're young, or you can pick it up as an adult. Also, we want to teach students basic skills to be able to use rowing skills as a fitness tool, either on an indoor rowing machine or potentially in the start of their on-the-water rowing experience. We also really strive in connecting classroom to community. So we want to promote opportunities for continued participation and participation in lifelong fitness. All right, classroom resources of Erg Ed. So part of the program, there are a lot of resources that come with it. We have both middle and high school Erg Ed curriculum. So that is from 6th through 12th grade. And that includes 25 lesson plans, and we'll go into a little bit more details about that. We also have other supplemental resources like teaching planning guide, warm up and cool down suggestions. We also go into some maintenance and troubleshooting of the equipment. And we also break down our curriculum so you can see the national standards and how it all aligns with the national standards of physical education. And we also have classroom resources like handouts and posters. And we have a suite of classroom support videos. So even if teachers are not very familiar with the sport of rowing, we provide that support with some in-class videos they can use to help supplement their teaching of their students. We also have a large part called Erg Ed Nation, which we will go into some more details in a moment, but overall this is a community of all the other locations that are bringing this program to their classes, and we do a lot of fun, interactive, engaging activities through that as well. And finally, our teacher and instructor certification course that we offer each of our locations. So this is breaking down the curriculum that Erg Ed offers. What we have found is that it is best to be flexible. Every school district and situation is different in where we bring Erg Ed to. Therefore, we found that we have created a curriculum that's really a pick and choose for the districts and teachers that are bringing this material to their students. We have 2 fundamental lessons that are the basic premise of the rowing stroke and the performance monitor. And then we have 4 main themes that are taught through our core lessons. This can be taught in any order. And we have intensity, fitness, technique, and teamwork as our main focuses. And then finally, We have 19 additional row-on lesson plans that teachers can pick and choose from, depending on the amount of time that they have the equipment, as well as what fits into their sort of typical unit structure within their school. As I mentioned before, rowing, we're trying to make it just normal, like something else you would take in your PE class, such as basketball or also rowing. So why Erg Ed? So Erg Ed is a physical education unit that is designed by teachers for teachers. So it is a high quality rowing program. It is well structured and easy to teach. And we really strive to make it something that teachers with limited or no rowing experience can bring to their students. And students love it. It's fun and engaging and brings some very valuable skills that can be used much beyond just rowing. Also, the very unique thing about the Erg Ed unit is that it does connect classroom to local community. So one thing that we do when we come into a district, this is not just the rowing in schools. We also are planting the seed and hopefully opening doors to other opportunities that exist within the local rowing community of your community. And every community we work in looks a little bit different, but we try and offer other things such as rowing scholarships, rowing camps, field trips, races, both on online and within the community, and a lot more. So this certainly is just the start of something that can be really impactful and exciting for students from classroom all the way to community. Erg Ed Nation. So Erg Ed Nation is sort of our extra part. So we have the lesson plans that are taught in the physical education class, but we also offer teachers the option to connect to classrooms and school districts in our other locations all around the US. This is a way for classrooms to connect and race each other, virtual races. We have teacher lesson plan shares. So we have a folder of other lessons that teachers that have been using our Erg Ed program have gone and created themselves and have shared with others. We offer contests. We give away rowing machines each year. And there's just a lot of fun and excitement that can go along with it. If it's something teachers opt and like to participate in. So a little bit about that community connection piece. So we really work with the local rowing community to be able to connect the students to the boathouse. And there's a lot of different ways to do that. And if the program comes to your community, we work at establishing some of these ways. These are just some of the things that some of our locations have done that have been successful. The path can look very different depending on the resources available and sort of what exists within your community. But one thing that we do is we really try to create those connections and that community engagement piece. All right, why indoor rowing? Well, kids really love the erg. So I'm not sure on this call how many people are from the rowing community versus the school community, but on the water rowers typically have a little bit of a distaste for the rowing machine just because it is a very hard fitness test type tool. However, when kids come in with open minds, they are so excited to use the indoor rowing machine, also known as the erg. Rowing is an incredible fitness tool as it uses almost 90% of the muscles in your body, and there is nothing else in terms of a cardio machine that comes close to matching that. Also, the rowing stroke has very simple mechanics. It is fast and easy to learn with just a little bit of guidance and knowledge behind it. Also, and maybe my most favorite, is the rowing machine is adjustable for a wide range of body types and abilities. Anyone can row. If someone can extend their arms and bring them back to their body, they are able to row. And I will go into this point in a little more detail in the next slide. Also, the rowing machine, and I think one of the reasons why students love it so much is it is user controlled. So unlike a treadmill, when you're setting the treadmill and you have to keep up, the indoor rowing machine is completely controlled by the user. So the harder you're pushing and pulling, the more resistance there is. There's no having to feel that out of control feeling. the child or the student or kid is in complete control of it at all times. And no one stands out or falls way behind like running laps will reveal or other things like that. Everyone's lined up on a rowing machine, and people don't get discouraged because they visually see they're behind their classmates. Everyone can start and finish together and really focus on self-improvement and pushing themselves in a way that they are in control of. Also, rowing as a sport does offer a lot of post-secondary advantages and opportunities, and just future opportunities within the sport that really are available. And finally, it is fun. And we try to create lessons that are really fun and engaging for students. And even if their experience doesn't go beyond the Erg Ed curriculum within PE classes, we hope that they have a very enjoyable, fun time with it. Back to my point about all students can participate. So one of the things that we really are proud of is our adaptive Erg Ed sort of resource section. So we really truly hope that within a school community, all students are able to participate, and we try to provide those resources depending on how the school is set up in terms of their inclusion with physical education. We try to empower everybody to be able to try and make some adaptations to the rowing machine if needed, and we are here as a resource to do that. So really all students can participate, and we try to provide those resources so every teacher feels empowered to be able to take that on. Why rowing in schools through Erg Ed? Well, it teaches students rowing skills for a fun lifetime sport. It also challenges the students' potential. So rowing isn't easy. And a lot of times the feedback we get from teachers is that this unit teaches and teachers see their students pushing themselves more than they've ever seen them before. We have so many teachers saying that they've never seen the student try at anything, yet they're falling over exhausted after a rowing workout, having pushed themselves so hard for really the first time in their physical education experience. Also, the promotion of those continued participation activities, like I've mentioned previously. How does Erg Ed work? So a little bit more about how the program actually works within a district. So one thing with working in 14 different school districts, we have learned that there is no cookie cutter way for a program to excel within a school district. However, we do have some parameters and lessons that we've learned. But we work with the local public school district and local rowing organization to connect everything together. So we have, within this program, there are three main organizations: the school district, the local rowing community, and then the George Pocock Rowing Foundation. And together we create the best sort of program so it can run as smoothly as possible. But the two main key elements are we go in and we train the trainer. So we go in and we will have an on-location teacher training for all of the teachers in the district who will be participating and teaching this program. We want to make sure the teachers are feeling confident and ready to teach this program. And this allows that sustainability and scalability piece of the program. Also, the equipment sharing. So rowing machines, that is really the expensive part of this program. However, we share this equipment. So it is a rotating PE unit around the district. And a class set of rowing machines, which is 20 rowing machines, is moved around the district school to school. So each school has a set time with the rowing machines to bring this unit into their students. Each school, it depends how many schools that that will be presenting Erg Ed will determine how long the rowing machines are at the school. Typically, depending on the number of teachers, we try to be at each school for about 2 to 4 weeks at a time. But this model makes it very cost effective and scalable. And it also really makes the kids excited when they see the rowing machine showing up. It's a fun, new, exciting thing that's in the gym for a couple weeks, and then it leaves again, and then they're excited the next time it comes back and returns to their school. So where is Erg Ed currently? We're currently being run in 14 different public school districts across the US, and we are constantly growing. Right now we've offered this program to over 120,000 students. So 120,000 students have been exposed to the sport of rowing through the Erg Ed program. And each of these locations we work with the public school district as well as the local rowing community. All right, let's get into the specifics of the USRowing's Erg Ed grant. So talking a little bit about who should be applying for this grant. Well, anybody can. It is worded, the application, to be coming from a school district. That is because we really need the school district support for this program to be a success. We need to know that once we arrive in a district, we have the support to be able to go and reach all of the teachers and the students within the schools. We don't necessarily have to run in all of the schools, and I should say all of the middle and high schools within the district. It can really look different depending district to district. Some districts we work in, we only are running in middle schools. Others we're only running in high schools. And this can be a decision of the districts depending on what fits best. Also, we often have local rowing communities be the driving force behind the application for this grant. So they're the ones actually going out, contacting the schools about this and the district about this. And being the driving force of bringing this program to their community. So what do you get when, if you were to receive the Erg Ed grant? It comes with 20 Concept 2 indoor rowing machines, which is what we consider the class set. And we find that number to be a good number. We've worked in many districts, like I've mentioned, and each district has different requirements on class sizes. However, 20 rowing machines can be moved in a reasonable manner without too much effort, yet is able to accommodate a lot of students. Ideally, this program is set up for a 2-to-1 ratio for a rowing machine to students, so that's 40 students. However, we have run it and quite successfully with a 5-to-1 ratio, which is not ideal, but still very manageable, and our lessons are adaptable to whatever size of class you have to teach it to. Also, you get the nationally recognized Erg Ed curriculum, which we talked about earlier, and all of those resources with it. We also have an online Erg Ed teacher classroom that you will be granted access to, as will all the certified teachers within the district. You will have an Erg Ed teacher training, so on-site training for up to 40 physical education teachers. We come to you and we teach this training at an agreed upon date that will best suit your district. And we also provide the remote technical support and curriculum guidance from the Pocock Foundation throughout the academic year. So anything that comes up, we are here to help. We also provide continued sustainability support for year 2 to 5. So this comes in the form of funding. So we want this program to be sustainable, and we understand there are a few low costs associated with sustaining the program. The costs come from equipment transportation and occasionally maintenance. However, I should mention maintenance of the rowing machines, that is often a question we get, is relatively low. We've been operating for 10 years within the school district in Seattle, and we are still using our original rowing machine set. And there are occasionally parts we need to replace, but it is a very low maintenance cost. However, if you receive this grant, we are here to help support that for up to 5 years. We also will support that transportation piece if need be, and also different activities that potentially you want to do to help sustain and connect that classroom to community. We also offer free Learn to Row clinics for all teachers within Erg Ed schools. So one thing we really want to inspire is teachers becoming an advocate for the sport of rowing. Therefore, we, the George Pocock Rowing Foundation, will cover any teacher who teaches in an Erg Ed school, so not even just the physical education teachers, but any teacher within an Erg Ed school. We will pay for their free Learn to Row clinic for them within their community, and that can be at any boathouse and anywhere that is convenient for them. We also have that connection to the Erg Ed Nation piece, which includes a lot of national events and contests and prizes, like I mentioned, including rowing machines. So that is the main sort of meat of the Erg Ed Grant Award. And there are also other things that sort of go, little things that come along with it. Grant requirements. So as part of the grant, we need to have one designated person within the school, district, or community act as sort of that primary local contact for the Erg Ed program. So this person needs to commit approximately an hour a week. Most of the duties are communicating messages from the Pocock Foundation staff and just supporting that local training and local program logistics, so making sure that the calendar is aligned when the ergs are moving, also any upcoming contests coming up or anything like that, being able to communicate that out to the teachers. Also, as a district, we ask that Erg Ed is run in approximately 4 to 6 middle and or high schools to reach a total of 2,000 students each school year. Now, these are flexible numbers. The 2 to 6 school range, that can really depend on the size of the schools. However, we are trying to reach a community. So you might just have 3 schools in your community that fall under the middle and high school size, and that's okay. You know, that's not a game changer. We'll work with you on that number, but the number goal of student reach is approximately 2,000. And again, nothing is set in stone with this, but this is, you know, the sort of the baseline where we're trying work from. Also, we have an evaluation requirement, and this is a very simple student and teacher survey and Erg Ed participation data. This survey, we have both paper form and online form, and as part of the grant requirements, we ask that every student completes a student survey at the completion of their participation in the program in year 1. And year 2 through 5, we ask that there's just a sampling of student surveys taken, so from just one of the schools that the program is being run in. And then teacher surveys, we do ask the teachers to fill out a survey when they finish teaching the program within their classes. All the surveys are anonymous, and they also are very quick, couple minutes each. No big heavy lift there, but it is something that we do need to be tracking. Also, the $5,000 matching fee. So this fee, and I'll go into this a little bit more detail in a moment, but this fee is matched more than 8 times over during your participation in the Erg Ed program. And this $5,000 fee payment is flexible and can be managed to meet your district's needs and limitation. And anyone can pay it. So it could be from the local rowing community, it could be from the school district, or a combination of the both. But with this fee, you also receive everything we talked about on the previous slide, as well as ownership of the 20 rowing machines. And then finally, a commitment to sustaining the Erg Ed program beyond year 1. So we are really going for a minimum of 5-year commitment. And this is, you know, something we are going to continue to be there and providing support for those 5 years and beyond. How much work does it really take? So the main things that need to happen: logistics of the equipment schedule, so coming up with that movement schedule of the equipment, then actually moving the equipment, the rowing machines, which every district looks a little different. Sometimes we have districts renting U-Hauls. Sometimes the district has the capacity to actually come and move the equipment within district vehicles and that sort of thing. Then we also have a local rowing community that will, you know, just have volunteers, and they come with their cars and each throw in a couple of ergs and rowing machines into each of their private cars and move them. So really it looks very different district to district. If you're uncertain about this piece of it, we are happy to troubleshoot with you a little bit in your specific situation. Also, minor rowing machine repair and maintenance. Like I mentioned, these rowing machines are extremely hardy and they last. However, there is a little bit of repair and maintenance that goes along with it. This is something we talk about in the teacher training as well. We try to empower the teachers to sort of keep the rowing machines in good shape, and they, there's very little that often needs to happen with that. Also, communication with teachers, like I mentioned, so having that one designated liaison that will communicate with all of the teachers that offer the program. And then the creation of continued participation activities for students. So field trips or indoor rowing race participation or after school indoor rowing clubs, learn to row camps. We do want to really encourage that participation piece. And that often comes from the community rowing involvement for those pieces. So not necessarily from the school district. All right, the $5,000 matching. So like I mentioned, this is matched 8 times over in the life of the grant. Paying it, anyone can pay it, the rowing community or the school. We can work out sort of a paying schedule. Could be in increments. We can push it back a little bit if it needs to be in the next budget year, whatever else. However, I do really want to stress that do not let this be a barrier from applying for the grant. If this is something that just can't happen in your location, we really want to talk to you about it and how we can sort of overcome this. We want to grow and be in communities that this could really benefit from this program. So we don't want this to be the deciding factor of whether or not you're going to apply for the grant. How are the grants applications scored? So there is a scoring system that we sort of put into place so we can have some preliminary rankings of the applications. And the main things that are scored is the capacity for supportive logistics and programming. We're also looking at the racial and ethnic diversity of the school district as we are trying to reach populations that are not typically involved in the sport of rowing. We are also looking at the size of the school district. Our goal is 2,000 students, reaching a minimum of 2,000 students per year. However, that doesn't mean if you are smaller than that, there are also other ways to demonstrate being able to reach more students, and some other ways that we could potentially still come to your community, even if that 2,000 student number isn't quite met. Also, the ability to complete the program evaluation, so those student and teacher surveys I talked about. And then also a sustainability plan. So what's the plan to keep this program going beyond that first year? Or if there's really one single advocate for this program within a district, what happens if that one person leaves? So how is this a program that can really be incorporated into just sort of the norm of the physical education department of the district and not just reliant on one person's enthusiasm? Also, some other things that we do consider, the existing local rowing community. So I have talked about the local rowing community a lot in this. However, it does not necessarily have to exist. In fact, one of the locations we worked in, the local rowing community was created after this program was started in the schools. So this program was the kickstart to that existing rowing community. So there are ways around it, and certainly that can be the way this is taken, as Erg Ed is the start of creating a local rowing community, which is also extremely powerful and exciting. Existing local rowing college or university, and thinking about that as a resource that could help with this program and those classroom to community connections. Also other continued participation opportunities. So those sorts of pieces can go in that sustainability plan, and also that classroom to community connection piece on the application. So those are sort of the main things that are looked at. And however, we want to hear the story of your community and what we can sort of do together to help open up the sport of rowing and bring this into schools. All right, some dates and deadlines. So we have 2 more support calls, March 6th and March 30th. And then those grants are due on April 3rd at 5 p.m. Pacific time. And then the school district selections will be announced in early May. So, we try and turn those around pretty quick, as we know that, things are starting to wrap up for many school districts. I know not all school districts are on the traditional cycle, but many school districts are looking towards the end of the summer and then planning for that next year, as you get into June. So those are upcoming dates and deadlines. Make sure those are on your radar as we move forward. All right, and now I would love to turn it over to some questions. So if you want to unmute yourself to ask them, please do so. Or also if you have the chat function available to you, feel free to do that as well. All right. So if there are no questions, that's great too. Hopefully I answered them all. My contact information is on this slide, but it's heather@pocockfoundation.org. Oh, I see some chat people. Okay, great. Let's see. All right, so I have a question. We don't have the ability to easily move equipment between schools. In addition, there's lack of space to host 20 ergs on most campuses. Would it be possible to have 4 to 5 ergs keep 4 to 5 schools keep 4 to 5 ergs on their campuses? They would implement the curriculum with students through fitness rotations. That is a really great question. So we have, so I'll talk about the lack of space first. That is something that we certainly get approached a lot about, and we yet have not found a school that doesn't have room for them, especially for a short period of time, so just a couple weeks. The ergs are very storable, so they can really go in a very small closet. Almost always an equipment closet in a gym is a great option. We've done ergs underneath bleachers before. We've done ergs down the hall in a classroom that can be locked up at night. We have done lots of different ways, but it is amazing how little space 20 rowing machines actually take up, because they can be stored on end as long as they are away from kids, just because there's the potential of crashing into them and tipping them over. So you wouldn't want them just out in a gym on end, but there's always a solution to that. And I would love to troubleshoot if there's any school that's really unable to identify a place to store them. In terms of moving equipment between schools, that is certainly, so the program is designed to have all 20, the class set, go school to school. So in terms of this grant, we do ask that 20 stay together, and the program is taught as sort of a unit with the 20 rowing machines. After that 5-year sort of agreement, sometimes the model to distribute the ergs across schools is certainly an option if the logistics are hard to maintain. But in terms of moving the equipment, many different ways to do that. If you do have a local rowing community, there are volunteers often available to help move that equipment. Often the rental of U-Hauls are done if you want to do it quickly. And we can also troubleshoot that with sort of the resources you specifically have, but there are ways to easily move it. And depending on the rotation schedule, it can be as little as, 4, 5, 10 times a year. So we're not talking about a weekly move. So there are a lot of ways around that. I have a question about the match. A one-time payment or annually? It is just a one-time payment. So it's $5,000 total for the entire grant. So it's just a one-time payment. One question about sixth grade students are not in the middle schools in this particular district. That's not a problem. Our curriculum, it can be taught any ages, sort of 6 through up, and that's just the national curriculum alignment is with grades 6 through up. But if the sixth grade aren't there, that is fine. We can go 7 and up, whatever the situation is in your district. We just don't have a curriculum designed for the really itty bitty kiddos for at this moment. So really it's just the national standards that the curriculum is designed around. Can a sample of the lesson plans be made available? Absolutely. So everyone who responded to RSVP'd for this call, I will be sending out an entire package of information about Erg Ed. And in there are samples of the lesson plans, a couple samples of the in-class videos that you will have access to, as well as other materials about Erg Ed. So I will send that out to everybody who RSVP'd. If you are on this call and did not officially RSVP, just drop me, just go on our website, click the RSVP link just so we can have you, or you can just reach out to me directly and I can send that to you. All right, another question. Our district and neighboring districts is small. Middle high school share a building and regularly cooperate with other schools and districts to build teams where there are not enough students at one given school to make an independent program. Is this something that you would consider an application that includes multiple schools across multiple districts? Absolutely, that is completely something we would consider. So if it's too small to reach that 2,000 student mark, you certainly can go in with neighboring districts and schools to kind of put together a little bit larger school based. And as long as everyone's on board and supporting the program and welcoming it, we absolutely can do that. And we have done that before very successfully. So that is absolutely an option. All right, next one. Can a rowing team start the program and implement the Erg Ed training program in a local middle and high school? Yes, a rowing team and rowing community can be the ones driving this entire process. The only thing with that is the school district does need to write a letter of support. So the local rowing team or in community can be actually the ones filling out the application and applying for it, but they're just going to need to go to the district and get a letter of support from the district. Next question. Is an MOU from the school district required? Yes, if you are awarded the grant, there will be an MOU put together with the school district, the George Pocock Rowing Foundation, USRowing, and if there is a local rowing community, often a local rowing community representative as well. So the MOU will have to be signed from the district. It is pretty basic, and it looks a little different every district that we work in, and we are really willing to work with the district to meet sort of what they need and their requirements. Can school districts be added over the 5 years? So I think I'm not quite sure where this question's coming from, so let me try to answer it and speak up if I'm not. The school districts, so over the 5 years, if more school districts want to come on to an existing grant, so say you have a smaller school district that has the capacity to help, another neighboring district come and be part of this program, we certainly can add schools over the 5 years of the grant. I think that might have answered the question. Let me know if that doesn't. All right, next question. Is the teacher education component available every year of the grant to incorporate more teachers? This is a fabulous question and something we are currently working on. Right now, we come and do an in-person training just year 1. We do have an online training available for new teachers as they come on board through the 5 years. However, we are also growing that online teacher education component, so it is much better and readily available for teachers throughout the duration of the grant. All right, great. Looks like I answered that school district question properly. That's great. Anybody else with questions? These are all great. All right. Well, if that is it, please feel free to reach out if you do have any other questions that come up. We also have those 2 more calls coming up in March if you want to log on for those as well. Similar information will be passed along, but there might be some different questions that are asked at the end. Also, we will be posting this recording up online so you have access to it. And again, I will be sending out those materials to you if you RSVP'd for this call. But thank you everybody so much for joining us. And we can't wait to see all of those applications come in over the next month or so, or a couple months, I should say. All right, thanks everybody. Bye-bye.